Hey guys, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Building with Jen. And today we're kicking things off into good old-fashioned time-lapse mode, with me in the background building up the wireframe for our custom terraforming project that we started last episode with the mountain that you can see in the top right of the screen right now. But what I'm doing here is basically just getting the main shapes and lines into place for us later to have it easier to fill everything in. And I usually do this with dirt, but the parts that are gonna be really steep, I use stone for that. But we're just creating a hill right next to this little lake that I want to have here. But this terraforming project is gonna take a while, and it should keep me busy for the next couple of months, if not years. That's the plan at least, because I have some really big plans. And now we're getting started on actually planning out a bit of the mountains, because I'm really new to it. I built a few custom mountains before, but none of these scale, and this is gonna be an entire mountain range and not just a single mountain. So this is a project of another caliber than I'm used to. But with that, I think it's time to switch back into first person. Oh man, I love this. Just seeing the mountains peek through there, it's just absolutely amazing. And if we come up here, you can see this is gonna look so great once we're actually gonna have the final peak in here of this section. And here's our skeleton. We can fly through here, but it's looking so great. And it might look a bit confusing because this is supposed to be a lake with an island in the side. And the rest of it is just gonna be landscape. It's gonna be filled up with dirt and eventually with some custom trees, some buildings, all the good stuff, all the fun stuff. But for now, it's just gonna be some flat terrain, pretty boring indeed. The main focus I had, however, while constructing this wireframe were those mountains over here, because I'm really new to building mountains, and I watched a few videos, and I think I kind of get the hang of it. This was like, it's not my first attempt, but it's the first attempt in a very long time, and the first attempt in this world to build a mountain. And what I'm doing is basically just stacking up with a bunch of blocks to the height that I want the mountain to be, and then just going through with a bunch of dirt and a bunch of stone and just laying out a kind of organic shape. And I'm looking at references while doing so, but in the end it just comes down to kind of imagining where you want to have like a steep drop, as I have here, or where you want a kind of flatter area like I have over here with the grass. But in the end, we're gonna cover up most of these grassy dirt patches with snow anyways, at least in the higher peaks. But right here, it's just gonna stay the way it is right now. And if the intro wasn't enough time-lapse already, we're gonna hop into another good old time-lapse. And I'm gonna take a couple of hours, take a bunch of grass and a bunch of dirt, and basically just go through and fill in all of these gaps so that we can get a better understanding, a better view of what this area is gonna look like. And maybe we'll even get to constructing some more mountains. But the first order of business is filling in all these gaps, because it's so easy to fall through, and I'm surprised that I did not fall yet. So let's kick this off into time-lapse mode and get some more terraforming done. Alright, we are in time-lapse mode, and this process basically does not require anything else than a bunch of dirt and a bunch of time, and just me filling in all the holes that we left to fill in. But as I'm building this up in the background, I just quickly wanted to talk to you guys about a thing. And the thing is, Christmas is coming up really soon, and I really like to have a Christmas special or a holiday special of some sort. But I'm just not sure what to do. We could either do like a Christmas themed build on Coldcraft. We could try to incorporate some sort of Christmas element into the Building with Jan world we're currently working on. So if you have any ideas, suggestions, or pretty much anything else, just let me know in the comments down below what you think, because I'm thinking of either building a Christmas cave or just a Christmas village over on Coldcraft. But do let me know what you guys think about that. But with that, we'll switch back to first person. Okay, so we finished the terraforming, but we have another problem. The underside is so dark. It's literally pitch black in here. And there are a lot of mobs. And so we have this creeper hole over here right now, which is not too cool. We have a few mobs. So let's go down there and see if we can light this up. And I have no idea if we should just be quick and run through. Okay, so far so good. Aha, there you are. Oh no. Run, run, run. I missed. Once again. Okay, and should be the last one. Perfect. So I'm just gonna go through and light everything up, and I'll be back with you guys. Okay, that is 2 stacks of sea lanterns right here. And honestly, I could care less if this place is lit up or not. But I absolutely hate just walking on top of here and always hearing like the zombies grunt and the skeletons rattle. That is so annoying. So we're just gonna light it up. It's also gonna fix a bit of the lag that we're gonna have with all of the entities below us. So I think all in all, that's a pretty good thing that we lit this up. But look at the terraforming progress we made. Oh, I absolutely love this. This is like pretty much exactly what I had envisioned for this part right here. We're gonna have a village here eventually, and then the cliff right here that I've been talking about a lot recently. And then I also went ahead and started filling in some parts of the mountain, and I'm not too sure because this little edge right here, I don't like it. I don't like it, so we need to round it up a bit. It kind of looks like plastic pressed into a form, and it always has these like edges you have to remove. I don't know. That's what it reminds me of, just like being pressed against here. Maybe that's just me, maybe I'm just crazy, but that's what it looks like to me at least. But I'd say that is more than enough terraforming for today. Next up, I want to focus on building some fields in this general region over here. Alright, I did some really rough planning for a couple of the fields, and mainly I want to have a walkway down the middle between the fields. Starting with this bridge somewhere over there, which is gonna have like a little entrance in our walls, and then just be this really rural fieldy area, this farming area right here. We're gonna have a forest in this general area covering this hill up until like the foot of the mountain, I think at least, because I don't really like the transition here, so we're just gonna cover that up with some trees. And then along this ridge we're also gonna have another walkway, and below it over to the village that we're eventually gonna build, we're gonna have another walkway right here, and in the middle of those crossroads we're gonna have this big tree which I marked with this somewhat weird structure. But today I just want to get in the couple first fields, mainly this one right here, as well as a part of the pathway, so that we get a general feeling of if we like the design or not. So I brought a couple of blocks, and we're just gonna use a few different blocks actually. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. Let's put this into our offhand and just start going through and placing in a few random blocks, because those walls should look like they were built with some leftover materials from building all of the houses as well as the castle. Because we have to think logically, they wouldn't really waste any stones. You know, if they chiseled out a bit for, let's say, those stairs or the railing right here, they usually wouldn't throw them away in medieval times. They would just repurpose them somewhere else. Hence, we are going to use a few different bits and bobs of stone for the walls right here. Or at least we're going to make it look like this. Okay, so in general, I don't hate this design for the walls here. I just think the bricks look a bit too polished and too perfect to be put in a wall like this. So I think we're going to replace this with some andesite, which I don't have any of. So I'm quickly gonna grab that and replace all of the stone bricks with some andesite, and I'll be right back. Alright, this looks a lot better in my opinion. So we're gonna do that the whole way around. So the walls are done, and I'm already on to the next step. But we are going to go through and just take a zigzag pattern like this. We're gonna have 3 here. And I think we're gonna run out of seeds really quick. Yeah, look at that, only 12 more seeds left. So the thing is, I think we should then continue on with the path and just focus on all of the seeds later. Once all of this is grown, we can harvest it and replant it in the same fashion. So let me quickly get some materials, and then we can continue building the path. So to put a path, what I'm thinking is, first of all, we're gonna go through and turn all of this into the actual path block. And then we're gonna go through and throw in a few other textures to make the road look a bit more rough and a bit more dirty and everything. And what I'm doing right now is actually already also kind of what I want to do, because I don't just want this to be random. because there are gonna travel a lot of carts through this area right here. And if we have like one bit of darker dirt or one bit of more used up dirt in the left and in the right in like a lane, it's gonna look like the wheels of the carts kind of press themselves into the ground or something like that. So we're gonna keep that in mind. And the carts in our world are mainly 2 to 3 blocks wide and a couple of 1 block wides, but mainly the big carts with a lot of load. They are the ones that actually make the difference. So I'm gonna try to incorporate a lot of this in here, and this should just be really rough because not every cart is gonna take the exact same path, obviously. And I also want to incorporate some stone elements, which we're gonna use the gravel for, just to kind of make it a bit more rough. Okay, I'm liking this so far. And the last step to do is just to make it a bit more overgrown. We're gonna add a couple of bone meal, just like this. And for now, I want to delete all of the flowers because we're gonna have the fields which are colorful, and this should nicely contrast with like the pretty gray path. So yeah, no flowers for now. We can always add those later, so it's not that big of a deal. And this part right here in the middle, I want to have really overgrown, as this is just some sort of footpath that nobody really uses to transport things, but it's just like a tiny little shortcut that people sometimes use. And that is too many flowers, so let's just get rid of all of these. But overall, I think this is gonna give a really great vibe to this area. And let's quickly sleep before we get ambushed. Oh, there are already monsters nearby. Where? I don't see them. Okay, let's try here. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. This is exactly the vibe I was going for. So I'm really happy with how this came out. I'm gonna go ahead and maybe just put in a second field, because we have one, we still have time, and we still have to wait for all of the wheat to grow. So I think we're gonna place in maybe a carrot field or even a flower field. I'm gonna look what materials I have at my disposal. Yeah, maybe those red flowers over there, they could look really good in like a field. So I'm gonna go ahead to do that, and yeah, I'll be back with you guys. Okay, I finished up the second field, and since I couldn't find a single carrot or a single piece of potato, I just decided that, you know what, we are going to turn this into a flower field. So that is exactly what I did. And I think it looks really cool. I decided to fill in the wheat field completely with wheat, since we are going to need a lot of this for all the other fields. And the rows of flowers I decided to only go with for this field. And lastly, I just want to go through and replace a few of the spots and just place in a couple of leaves, because I think that could look really cool and even more overgrown. So let's see, maybe just cram it in a couple of spots. So as a little proof of concept, I think this works really well. But the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is that I added a little data pack that makes it so that we can't trample any of the crops. Like, we can jump around in here and it does not trample any of the crops. I know this isn't 100% vanilla if we have this data pack installed, and I will link it in the video description so that if you guys want to check this out and use it in your own builds, you can now. But yeah, as I said, I know this isn't 100% vanilla, but I think that's gonna make building these fields so much easier, and to be honest, you know, it's just a quality of life improvement. You can still use this world without any mods, without everything, so it still works fine. It's just a little quality of life improvement that I personally find really nice. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll catch you next week with a brand new episode of this world. Until then, have a good one.